Unveiling the shocking truth, the dark urban legend of my North Carolina backwoods town. In a town wrapped in the shadowy embrace of pine trees and whispered secrets, something dark lurked just beneath the surface. The kind of place where folks kept their curtains drawn tight to fend off the prying eyes of the outside world. This was no ordinary small-town life. At twilight each night, shadows danced along the roads like ethereal phantoms, and the air thickened with anticipation and dread. But what really raised the hairs on the back of your neck was the tales that shaped our world. Tales of an old woman, known only as Granny Thornhill, who could supposedly summon storms with a flick of her ancient wrist and had a garden of herbs that could heal or harm. Kids whispered that her cat, a slinking shadow with eyes that glowed like embers, could see into your very soul. Every year, right at the cusp of winter, the townsfolk's worries grew as the harvest moon rose high. On that fateful night, they said, the burden of the past clawed its way into the present. People began to vanish. Not a soul would put a foot outside after dark. The last man to ignore the warnings, Charlie Dempsey, told us all flatly that he didn't believe those silly stories. He grinned, waved off our anxiety, and not surprisingly, vanished without a trace. No scream, no struggle, just a ghostly quiet that swallowed him whole. Then there were the incidents. A kid found a rusted pocket knife near the old cemetery, shivering as he shared how he saw shadows flitting behind the gravestones, whispers curling around his ears. An old pickup truck rumbled down Main Street, with faded missing posters plastered across the windows, each one depicting someone local. They all had something in common. They too had brushed the edges of Granny Thornhill's existence. The feeling around town became heavier, like a thick blanket just waiting to smother those who dared to pull it off. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the night of the harvest moon approached, a thick tension filled the air. The townsfolk huddled in their homes, more frightened than they'd ever been. Whispers swirled like the mist creeping slowly through the streets. Dare anyone think of stepping into the gloom? But one brave soul decided enough was enough. Sarah Hadley, a local teacher with a fierce spirit, vowed to uncover the truth, even if it meant facing her deepest fears. She packed a flashlight and a heart full of rage against the unknown. What would she find that night? And was she prepared for the horrors awaiting her in the heart of the backwoods? Would the truth be worse than the legend? The clock struck midnight, and her adventure was only just beginning. The woods loomed dark and menacing as Sarah ventured deeper into the heart of the backcountry. Her flashlight beam sliced through the thick blackness, illuminating twisted branches that reached out like skeletal fingers from the depths. Each snap of a twig beneath her feet echoed in the stillness, a reminder that she was terrifyingly alone. With every step, the weight of her resolve began to falter. What was she even looking for? Answers? Justice? Or was it recklessness pushing her forward? The stories came flooding back, each one sharper than the last. Charlie Dempsey's fading grin as he strutted into the night. The whispers of ghosts, the fleeting shadows, so many had disappeared. Would she become another name lost in the drumming heartbeat of the dark? As she pressed on, a chill swept through the air, causing goosebumps to race across her skin. The moon hung full and heavy overhead, casting an eerie glow that danced with the rustling leaves. Memories of the townsfolk's fearful glances haunted her thoughts, but the flare of determination ignited again. She couldn't turn back now. She had to discover what lurked in this cursed place. Then she saw it. The garden was like no garden she'd ever known, wild, overgrown, drenched in moonlight. Strange flowers with petals like sharp blades surrounded herbs that seemed to shimmer ominously. In the center stood a crooked wooden sign that read Granny Thornhill's Remedies, letters barely remaining despite time's ravage. A stench of damp earth and something sweet and rotten filled her nostrils. The hairs on her neck prickled. Suddenly, the cat appeared, The same ghostly shadow she had heard about. It slinked forward, its eyes locked onto Sarah's, glowing with an otherworldly fire. It was a moment suspended in time, a challenge, and a warning all rolled into one. Fear curled like smoke in her lungs, but she pressed through it. "Where are they?" she whispered to the creature. "What happened to the missing?" A gust of wind whipped through the garden, swirling the leaves in wild chaos. The cat darted off into the darkness, leaving behind an unsettling stillness. She chased after it, heart pounding. She wouldn't let fear snatch away her resolve. The further she pushed into the thicket, though, the deeper the shadows became, wrapping around her like a suffocating blanket. The sudden, thunderous crack echoed through the woods. Startled, Sarah spun around, the flashlight beam flickering wildly. "Hello?" she called, voice trembling. The only response was a haunting silence followed by rustling leaves. Every instinct screamed at her to flee, but she forced herself to stand her ground. Just then, a figure stepped out from behind a tree, an old woman clad in tattered clothing, eyes wild and glowing in the moonlight. Granny Thornhill stood before her, a sinister smile twisting her lips. "Been waiting for you," the woman croaked, voice rasping like brittle leaves. "You should be stayed in your cozy home." What did she mean? Sarah's breath hitched as her mind raced. Had the old woman been the one who called down the darkness? Did she command the very essence of the woods to summon storms, to conjure disappearances? In that moment, dread settled like stones in Sarah's stomach. The truth was inching closer, but it was far more terrifying than she ever imagined. As Granny Thornhill stepped forward, shadows leaped from the ground, wrapping themselves around Sarah's ankles. Was it too late to escape? A scream tore through the night. But who was it? Was it Sarah, or had another victim finally emerged? As the shadows closed in around her, an unsettling question loomed. Who was the hunter, and who was the prey? Sarah felt the shadows tighten around her like a vice. Panic surged through her veins, a cold rush that stifled her breath. She struggled against the dark tendrils coiling around her, half-dazed by fear and confusion. The gleam in Granny Thornhill's eyes grew brighter, almost hungry, as she stepped closer. "Why are you here, child?" the old woman asked, her tone deceptively soft, tinged with something sinister. "Curiosity? Or do you seek what was lost?" "I'm looking for answers," Sarah shouted, forcing the words past her throat, which felt like it was clasped in a chokehold. "Answers?" Granny Thornhill chuckled, the sound gravelly and echoing like the death knell of a forgotten tale. "In a place like this, to find answers, you must be willing to pay the price." "Price?" The word slithered into her thoughts like a snake lurking in the grass. What could a fleeting truth cost her? But before she could ponder on it longer, the shadows jerked upward, pulling her feet from under her, and Sarah stumbled forward, instinctively reaching for the ground. With a swift, ancient movement, Granny Thornhill raised a gnarled hand, and the shadows responded, whispering promises and threats that made her stomach churn. There was no denying the power that danced around the witch. Fear gripped Sarah, yet curiosity pulled at her equally. "Charlie?" she croaked, the name hanging heavy between them. "What happened to him? To the others?" Granny's smile widened, revealing teeth that appeared to be stained by time and sorrow. "You seek the boy with fleeting dreams. He danced too close to flame," she murmured, her voice wrapping around Sarah like a shroud. "And now he belongs to the woods." Suddenly, a rustle stirred behind the old woman. Sarah's heart thundered. She glanced beyond Granny, and there they were. Shadows began to twist and morph, forming indistinct shapes of lost faces, eyes wide with fear and yearning. Ghostly echoes drifted through the air, frantic whispers riding wind, as if the spirits themselves were pleading. "Help us!" a voice cried, breaking through the desperate cacophony. Was it Charlie's? The sudden pull of recognition drew at her chest, filling her with both hope and dread. "Do you hear them?" Granny Thornhill hissed, her crazed eyes gleaming with excitement. "They hunger for freedom, yet they are bound by secrets more ancient than your kind." Did Sarah dare to listen further? She could feel the electric pulse of the garden around her, alive yet haunting. As the shadows lurked closer, she fought against the rising tide of despair. "What do you want from me?" she demanded, resolve flaring bright against the backdrop of dread. "It's simple," Granny Thornhill replied, raising her other hand, conjuring the air thick with tension. You must choose, become part of the tale, or walk free. But know this: once you know the truth, there may be no return for you, either. The spirits swirled around her, blazing eyes locked on her with a desperate urge for release. Sarah could feel their pain, their hope mixing with her own fear. Could she be strong enough to stand the truth? The cat emerged again, its luminous gaze piercing through the chaos. And for a fleeting moment, Sarah was secure, an anchor to the unreal storm around her. "Tell me," she cried, the urgency pushing against her. "What is the price?" Granny Thornhill's smile curled back. It wasn't just sinister, it was knowing. "Your memories," the witch whispered, "of the life you so desperately cling to." As the shadows shrieked and the spirits twisted around her, Sarah's mind spun wildly. Could she sacrifice everything for answers more terrible than the darkness? A shriek tore through the air. Not another victim, but her own. And then there was silence. Was it the last she would hear before being swallowed by the darkness? Or would she find a way out, navigating the perilous depths of her own mind? The path ahead was obscured, and an answer hung tantalizingly close. But would it lead to salvation or doom? A chill swept through the air, thick and heavy as if the night itself were alive, breathing uncertainty into Sarah's very core. The shadows recoiled momentarily, almost faltering in the wake of her scream, whispering amongst themselves as if debating her fate. In that silence, Sarah felt the weight of her own desperation seep into her skin. Every ounce of energy poured into a singular thought: how to escape. "Do you truly think you can walk away from the truth?" Granny Thornhill's voice sliced through the stillness, sharp and mocking. The shadows, emboldened by her words, tightened around her once more. The woods beckon, eager to claim your soul. "You've already taken one step too close." Sarah forced herself to breathe, each inhalation prickly with fear. "I want to be another ghost trapped here," she declared, her voice trembling but fierce. "I refuse to become just another whisper in the wind." "Spirited, aren't you?" A chuckle bubbled up from Granny, delighting in the challenge. "But, child, the woods crave your spirit. They feast on your memories, your fears, your ties to the world you know. Without them, you're nothing but a shadow lost, like the others." The instant the witch said others, ghosts streamed into Sarah's vision like lost ships in fog, faces she barely recognized flickering through the trees, Charlie among them. Each one bore expressions of agony, their mouths moving in unison, silent cries echoing in her ears. She felt her heart quicken, racing against time. "Help us!" they screamed wordlessly, their anguish piercing her like arrows. Granny Thornhill watched, her stare unyielding like granite. "Every story comes at a cost," she taunted. "What is it you value most? Chasing memories that could drown you, or a life tangled in half-truths?" "Charlie," Sarah whispered, her resolve beginning to crumble like dry leaves underfoot. "You took him, just like you took the others," she accused, knowing the price of ignorance grew higher with every second that passed in this twilight nightmare. Granny's grin faltered, only for a heartbeat, but it was enough for Sarah to spring forward. "Tell me what I need to do. Just show me how to set them free." The shadows writhed in protest, their voices rising in a frenzy of despair, but at that moment, she did not care. "Eager, are we?" The witch stepped back, allowing the shadows to engulf her. "Very well. If you wish to learn, you must dive deeper into your past. Your memories hold the key." With a flourish of her hand, the garden shifted. The world around Sarah blurred, colors blending until the darkness morphed into stark images from her childhood: laughter, bright light, the scent of summer. Familiar faces rose up, moments of joy, of warmth. But with each blissful memory, another shadow flickered. Remember, the voice was hers, yet didn't belong to her. What are you willing to give up to save someone else? Suddenly, it felt as if she were at the cliff's edge. The voices of those lost pressed in on her, emotions mixing with urgency. Could you release them if it meant shattering your own essence? Her heart raced, pounding like a war drum. Was she truly prepared to lay herself bare? Could she tear apart the fragments of her history for the sake of others? For Charlie? "I want to let you take me," she shouted against the encroaching fog, but the shadows kept creeping closer. The landscape transformed again, a turbulent river now dividing her from Granny Thornhill, yet the witch simply smiled. "They will drown without you. You'll lose yourself, or become one of the lost. But as uncertainty melted into determination, Sarah felt the flicker of hope. Was there a chance? Could she rewrite the tale woven through those woods? The spirits shimmered, whispering her name, and she could almost feel their touch. Will you sacrifice yourself, or will the woods claim what's theirs? Granny's voice slithered through the air, sharp and foreboding, a dangerous promise lingering like the taste of ash. Silence fell again, taut and electric, and just as the tension reached its crescendo, an ear-splitting roar erupted from the depths of the forest, a wild and terrible sound that threatened to consume everything in its path. What new horror awaited her on the brink of truth? The roar echoed, slicing through the garden like a knife. Everything shook, the world trembling under the weight of the noise. Sarah stumbled back, her heart racing like a wild horse. The trees swayed, leaves whispering secrets she couldn't understand, dark, terrifying secrets. Granny Thornhill's expression turned into one of glee, as if she had anticipated this moment. "Ah, the beast awakens," she cackled, her voice intertwining with the timbre of the forest. "It does hunger, my dear, for you." Panic clawed at Sarah's throat, while rising, threatening to choke her. She turned to the shadowy figures, their faces distorted with sorrow. "I want to let them take me. I'll find a way." With each word, the voices whispered louder, a chorus of urgency. "You're the key." They breathed the words, not spoken, but felt deep within her bones. The ground heaved, mud slicked beneath her feet, and branches reached out like skeletal fingers. Shadows danced, morphing into grotesque shapes, ever closer, zealous and hungry. She had to decide. She had to be brave. "Will you give it your all?" The voices urged, their energy swirling around her, lifting her just slightly off the ground, into the space between panic and purpose. "Will you confront your past to unleash the future?" A moment flashed before her eyes, the day she lost Charlie, the day she felt loss carve into her heart like a chisel against stone. The laughter stopped abruptly, a tap of dread that only sharpened her focus. Could she really shatter apart that memory, give up her pain to save him? The forest responded, tightening its grip. The beast roared again, closer this time, its presence looming like a predator preparing to strike. A surge of adrenaline shot through Sarah. "No, not while there's still hope." Granny cackled in delight, her figure almost becoming one with the shadows. "Ah, my spirited child, you'll learn soon enough that hope isn't enough to save you. The truth will unfold like the petals of a black rose, beautiful yet deadly." With a deep breath, Sarah stepped forward, the river of shadows swirling at her feet like a rushing current. "Show me," she screamed at the witch. "Show me what I need to know." In that moment, the air grew thick, swirling around her, nostalgia mixed with dread. Memories flooded back, vibrant and haunting. She saw her childhood, that sunny day when she and Charlie had wandered into those woods, the laughter that faded into cries, their last shared laugh echoing in her ears like a bell tolling the end. The forest pulsed with energy, as if acknowledging her resolve. Then, suddenly, the shadows parted, revealing something hidden in their depths, a glimmer of truth above the dark waters. "Step forward, Sarah," a voice emerged, deeper and echoing. "The time has come to confront the darkest secrets of your heart." Granny's laughter faded, her form shuddering amidst the shadows. "The choice lies with you. Ignorance or redemption. Which one will you embrace?" Sarah felt her pulse quicken. Every single choice hung in the balance, and the weight felt fathomless. As she stepped closer to the shimmering memory, she could sense something stirring, a massive shadow shifting beneath her feet. "It's coming." One of the spirits screamed, their voice panicked, the others echoing their fear. And with that, the ground cracked, the river churned, and from the dark depths surged forth a monstrous creature, its eyes glowing like embers in a blistering fire, its roar boiling over with anger and hunger. What awaited wasn't just truth, it was betrayal. What had Sarah unleashed by confronting the past? Would she find the strength to save her friends, or had she awakened something far worse? The creature loomed before her, massive and fierce, with scales reflecting the dim light of the broken sky. Each pulse of its thick body sent tremors through the ground, shaking loose dirt and debris. Fear gripped Sarah's heart, tightening it like a vice. "Run," shouted one of the shadowy figures, snapping her out of her frozen state. But standing still felt like surrender. She hesitated, and the beast's glowing eyes locked onto her, a predator honing in on its desperate prey. Struggling against her instinct to flee, she clutched her fists. "I won't give in," she yelled, the words carrying a mix of defiance and fear. The voices shifted, an echo of support entwined in her defiance, their whispers urging her to face the monster, not run away. "Look closer," another voice cried. "It's not what it seems." With determination hardening her resolve, Sarah focused on the creature. Beneath its menacing exterior, she felt layers of pain and betrayal, mixed with something familiar. It resonated with her own grief. This wasn't just a monster. It was a reflection of a darkness she hadn't fully faced: the loss of Charlie, the guilt, the anger. "Don't you see?" she breathed. "You're me." The beast recoiled, as if struck. Its roar turned into a sorrowful keening, vibrating through the air like the warning note of a siren. Confusion washed over Sarah, and at that moment, a flicker of memory burst forth: a time when she and Charlie had shared their fears, promises, and dreams. "Please," she whispered, wanting to reach across that chasm of pain. "I can help you. We can help each other." Granny Thornhill's voice snarled through the shadows. "Foolish girl, you think you can tame that which is uncontainable?" But the creature faltered, glancing back into the swirling chaos of shadows. The flickering pain in its eyes echoed her own. Could it be that the beast was merely a manifestation of her unresolved sorrow? The realization struck her hard, like a blow to the chest. "Let me take you back," she cried out, each word gaining strength from the shadows swirling around her. "Let me face what we lost." The beast's roar turned to a hushed murmur, its glowing eyes dimming. It wasn't just hungry, it was scared. Suddenly, her surroundings erupted. The forest twisted, screaming with fear and rage as the ground split again, deeper this time. Sarah kept her feet planted, trying to ground herself amidst the chaos, and she felt the spirits around her drawing closer, weaving their essences together in a protective embrace. "Sarah, now!" they shouted, their voices ringing like a chorus. With a rush of adrenaline, she closed her eyes and plunged deep into the reservoir of memories. Images rushed past: day camps, birthdays, and the fateful trip to the woods. Each one lit her heart like a candle trying to combat the darkness. "Charlie!" she screamed into the depths of her mind, longing to unearth him from the shadows that had swallowed their past. The ground trembled violently, the shadows roaring in fury as the creature's form began to shift. There, within the whirlpool of memories, she saw him, Charlie, his laughter bright as the sun, standing at the edge of the darkness. "Help me, Sarah," he echoed, but his voice seemed far away as the chaos of the transforming beast roared louder. Just then, the ground beneath her seemed to rupture, and the beast lunged forward, nearly overwhelming her. She braced herself, but at that crucial moment, everything froze, and a sense of calm washed over her. This is the moment, she thought, the weight of her past battles heavy in her heart. If I'm to save him, I have to confront it all. And then, with the roar of shadows and the rush of memories colliding in her mind, she burst forth, ready to embrace the truth that felt like both a curse and the possibility of redemption. But as she did, the ground buckled once more, revealing a swirling void that threatened to consume them both. "Sarah!" came the desperate cries from the shadows. "You must choose now." Fear twisted in her gut. In that flickering moment, would she risk everything to unlock the monster? Or would she be drawn into the abyss? The answers loomed, terrifying and electric, just out of reach. The swirling void pulsed with a gluttonous hunger, threatening to swallow them whole. Sarah's heart raced, her breath quickening as her mind screamed for clarity. How did she make this choice? The creature gnashed its teeth, a shifting mass of despair and rage. Its eyes, once fierce, now bore the weight of shared sorrow, begging for healing but tethered to its own darkness. "You can help me," it seemed to whisper, the sound nearly drowned out by the chaos around them. "Sarah, make a choice," the spirits urged, their voices merging in a frantic crescendo that echoed around her. The ground heaved and quaked as if it knew the stakes. Her palms grew sweaty, and she took a shaky step toward the void. "Together," she whispered, more to herself than anyone else. I can't do this alone. With that, she tore her gaze from the swirling darkness and pushed her focus back to the creature. Show me, she shouted, drawing from the depths of her sorrow. Show me everything. The beast whined, a low and mournful sound that sent shivers down her spine. It hesitated, as if weighing its own memories against her plea. But then, the earth split, and the shadows howled, giving way to visions that poured forth like molten silver. Images surged a broken carousel, bright balloons drifting up into a cerulean sky, laughter that echoed in the air but felt hollow now. And then, darkness slithered in, a shadow creeping over their happiness, suffocating it with guilt and regret. The vibrant laughter warped, twisting into mournful wails. Charlie! Her heart screamed, each memory igniting the fire of her grief anew. As her thoughts spiraled, she felt warm fingers slip into hers, grounding her. Charlie's voice filled the void. It's okay, Sarah. I'm here. Charlie. The name broke from her lips, trembling and tentative. The creature trembled as well, shifting between its monstrous form and the flicker of something human, something familiar, Charlie's essence dancing just beyond reach. Face it, Charlie echoed, the urgency in his tone like a battle cry piercing through the tormented shadows. You must fight for us. In a moment of clarity, she understood. This wasn't a battle against a monster. It was a fight for acceptance of their shared loss, for the love buried under layers of fear. I want to let go. I'll carry you with me, she cried out, the words igniting a surge of strength. The beast roared in response, this time a sound like a mix of anger and understanding. As if her promise had ignited a flicker of hope, the ground shook violently, pulling her closer to the void's edge. Do not let go, the spirits warned, their ethereal hands stretching toward her, shimmered with urgency. Focusing her resolve, she pressed closer to the creature, feeling the heat of its scales radiate alongside the warmth in her heart. Together, she reiterated, pushing against her own fears. Face it with me. We can conquer this. For a breathless moment, silence enveloped them, the chaos halting in anticipation. Then the creature lunged forward, merging with her pulse, its essence wrapping around her heart. Memories flooded once more, the joy and laughter, the pain and anger. And beneath it all lay an unbreakable bond of love that neither time nor grief could sever. Sarah! Charlie's voice broke through, resonating with a newfound power. The shadows trembled at their joining, the ground quaking in revelation. And then, in an explosive flash, everything went white. When the brightness faded, Sarah found herself standing in a familiar clearing. The towering trees loomed like guardians, and beside her was not the beast but a soft, flickering light, Charlie's spirit, shining and unshackled. But as she reached out, an echo pulled her back. The void loomed larger, sinister whispers coiling around them, reminding her that this wasn't over. Sarah! A voice cut through the fog, causing her to turn. It was Granny Thornhill, her smile twisted and malicious. You think you can escape me? Panic raced through Sarah, tightening her chest. The shadows hungered for revenge, more than just Charlie's past. With an electric pulse of fear, she realized that the battle had only just begun. Would she have the strength to face what lay ahead? Or would the shadows take them both? The weight of Granny Thornhill's gaze felt like a vice on Sarah's chest. You're back in my domain now, she hissed, her voice dripping with malice. The air thickened, pressing against Sarah like a storm front. Leave him alone, Sarah shouted, her voice echoing in the clearing, but it trembled slightly, revealing her uncertainty. She glanced at Charlie's shimmering form beside her, and though filled with hope, doubt knotted in her stomach. Granny's shadow swirled ominously, a reminder of something festering and foul. Granny bent low, her grin wide, revealing yellowed teeth. Oh, my dear Sarah, you think you have control? She laughed, a sound that slithered through the air like smoke. The shadows listen to me. They crave your fears, your grief. You've brought them here. As she spoke, the landscape shifted. The towering trees twisted, their bark darkening, branches stretching like skeletal fingers. The clearing felt like a cage, trapping them under Granny's spell. Sarah's heart raced. Panic surged through her again, tightening around her throat. No, Charlie's voice pierced through. His light flickered wildly, a beacon in the deepening gloom. Don't let her win. I won T, she whispered fiercely, gathering the fragments of her courage. I'm not afraid of you, Granny. Granny sneered, and the shadows danced at her feet. Not afraid. Let us take a look, shall we? With a flick of her wrist, darkness swirled, forming images that surrounded Sarah. She gasped as memories unfurled snapshots of loss, moments of despair. Each flick pushed her onto an emotional cliff, threatening to sweep her into the chasm of despair. Charlie's laughter, once vibrant, echoed hollowly through the visions, twisting into cries of anguish. The agony of loss clawed at Sarah. She felt the ice of fear creeping back, filling her veins like poison. Charlie, she breathed, her heart shuddering. Remember, he urged, his voice rising above the chaos. We're stronger than this. With every ounce of strength, Sarah pushed against the rising tide. I know love, she shouted, finding her voice amidst the torment. I want to let my memories be turned into weapons. A blinding light expanded from within her chest, radiating warmth and determination. It crashed against the shadows, and they hissed, recoiling as if stung. The clearing began to pulse with life again, colors emerging where darkness had spread. She could feel Charlie's spirit vibrating alongside her own, a connection that tethered them firmly to this realm. Granny's face twisted in fury. You think light can overcome me? I am the keeper of haunted truths. Maybe, Sarah yelled back, defiance surging, but truths can be freed too. She stepped forward, feeling the energy build around her. With every step, the memories of joy blossomed more vividly, laughter shared, sunsets witnessed, whispers of dreams untainted by sorrow. And the shadows, once threatening, waned against her radiant embrace. With one last push, she summoned her deepest love, focusing on the bond she had with Charlie. Together. At that moment, a furious light exploded from her heart, intertwining with Charlie's essence. The shadows hissed and writhed, desperately trying to cling to their dark realm, but the surge of love overwhelmed them, dissolving their hold on her. No, Granny shrieked, twisting and reforming, writhing in desperation. But darkness was a fleeting thing. As the light enveloped the clearing, Granny's laughter morphed into a shriek of fury, swallowed by the brilliance of Sarah's love. But just as victory sparkled on the horizon, the restlessness lingered. A shadow flickered at the edge of her vision. A deeper darkness waited, one that stirred with anticipation. Charlie's voice faltered, a tinge of foreboding creeping into his tone. This isn't all, I think there's something worse behind it. Her heart sank. What more could there be? Tension coiled around her like a tightening noose. Then we'll face it together. But as the shadows retreated, a chilling wind swept through the trees. An ancient threat loomed just beyond the light, poised to strike when they least expected it. Can you hear them? Charlie whispered, his warmth fading just slightly. This isn't just about us anymore in the distance. The howl of something unseen resonated through the unfolding chaos, and dread settled in her gut. What awaited them in the depths of that abyss? Would the shadows consume them both yet again? The darkness hesitated at the edges of the clearing, unsure whether to retreat or push forward. Sarah felt it swirl around her, palpable, like fingers probing for weaknesses. It chilled her blood, raising the hairs on the back of her neck. She had won against Granny Thornhill, but Granny was only the beginning. Charlie, stay close, Sarah murmured, her voice steady despite the tremor in her heart. The chill nipped at her, whispering secrets of the forest, urging her to succumb to fear. I'm not going anywhere, he replied, voice unwavering. But Sarah could hear him faltering too, his light dimming ever so slightly with the weight of unspoken dread. As they stood together, the oppressive atmosphere shifted. The wind howled, more than just the sound of air. It carried a message, an echo of long-forgotten tales. The trees swayed, creaking in time with an ominous rhythm. She felt a presence lurking, one that seeped through the very essence of the earth. It felt ancient, like the bones of the land were awakening, stirring restlessly beneath her feet. Charlie said, his voice strained. I feel it. Something darker. Before she could respond, the ground beneath them trembled, a violent quake that shot through her like a jolt of electricity. The trees groaned, their branches scraping against one another as if in warning. The shadows shifted, coiling tighter, anticipating the chaos that was about to unfurl. That a chilling laughter, rich with malice, slithered from the heart of the forest, echoing through the clearing. It was neither Granny S nor any voice she recognized. It resonated deeper, stirring something within Sarah she couldn't quite put her finger on. "Do you feel that?" Charlie's eyes widened, the glow flickering around him like a candle in a storm. "Something is coming." The laughter grew louder, wrapping around them like a shroud. Sarah's pulse quickened. "What is it?" As if in response, the shadows coalesced, forming a figure, a tall silhouette with the glint of sharp eyes peering from the darkness. It wasn't Granny Thornhill. It was something far more sinister. "Welcome back, little one," the figure purred, voice dripping with venomous sweetness. "I've been waiting for you." "Who are you?" Sarah choked out. Her heart pounded in her chest like a war drum. "Names hold power," the voice crooned, circling them as the shadows flickered in delight. "But you may call me the Lurker. I am the embodiment of the fears Granny has fed upon for ages. You've unleashed me. What a delightful little surprise." Anguish swirled in her chest. "What do you want from me?" "To feed," it whispered, drawing closer. "Your fears, your sorrows, they are the finest delicacies. You have so much to offer." The shadows slithered around her, clawing at her consciousness with memories of doubt and despair, the weight of loss, the torment of unanswered questions. "No," she screamed, fighting against their grip, but the memories streamed forth unbidden. "You can't have me." "Too late," the Lurker hissed, an echo of dark laughter sending shivers down her spine. "Charlie," she called desperately, her voice betraying her panic. But in that moment, his light flickered further, barely holding. "Together, Sarah," he urged, trying to push back against the darkness. "Don't let it take you." But the weight of the shadows pressed heavier, and doubt wormed into her heart. What if this was just the beginning of something worse? Time was slipping through her fingers like sand. "You're stronger than this," Charlie shouted, struggling against the shadows constraining him too. Sarah breathed in deep, clinging to his voice, his determination mixed with hers. "I won't give in," she declared, feeling the rush of love and shared courage flow through her. "I won't let you consume us." A sudden roar of wind blasted through the clearing, shattering the Lurker's hold momentarily. But in that flash of hope, she felt the darkness surge back, angrier, more feral. "Foolish girl," the Lurker spat. "This battle has only just begun." As the shadows lunged forward, a sliver of memory sparkled in Sarah's mind, the legend her grandmother had whispered of. It's a cycle, she thought. It always comes back. And then she saw it. The doorway opening just behind the Lurker, a portal wreathed in nightmares, pulsing with unearthly energy. "Charlie, we need to find a way to close that." But as they rushed forward, the laughter enveloped them, echoing through the clearing. Would they ever break free, or was the Lurker merely the harbinger of an even darker truth waiting to be uncovered? With shadows swirling and fear clawing at her heart, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this was far from over. What was lurking behind that portal? Would they dare to find out? Sarah felt like the weight of the world rested on her shoulders. Exhaling sharply, she forced herself to focus, to stay rooted in the moment. The shadows whispered around her like dark, slithering serpents. "We can't let the Lurker open that doorway," she shouted, determination surging through her veins. "We have to fight." With a fierce cry, she surged forward alongside Charlie. Together, they reached for the space between them, forming a bridge of shared strength. The shadows coiled tighter, hungry for despair, but the bond forged from years of friendship and love radiated with an undeniable light. "Remember," Sarah shouted, drawing upon the best memories they shared, laughing under summer skies, racing through fields, the sweet taste of victory in school competitions. Each positive recall lit a flame in her heart, pushing back against the gnawing shadows. Those were the moments that mattered. The Lurker twisted and writhed, hissing in frustration. "No, your joy is a weakness." It spat, but the fiery glow of their memories began to overwhelm it. "Together, Sarah, we can't let fear win." Charlie's voice rang clear, the urgency alive in every syllable. Suddenly, the portal behind the Lurker roared to life, the eerie energy spilling forth like a torrent of nightmares. And yet, with that focused light flowing from their bond, the shadows faltered, their edges trembling. "Keep it at bay," Sarah shouted, rallying against the growing despair. Their desperation feeds it. Charlie, we're stronger together. We bring hope. With every exclamation, the memories pulsed between them, a dynamic force ready to unleash against the encroaching tide. The lurker screeched, its form shimmering with uncertainty as light collided with dark. You will not take my power. It howled, but Sarah could feel the grip of shadow loosening. In an explosive pulse of courage, she surged forward again. You're wrong. We define our own truths. Together, they merged their power into one intense beam of light, bright enough to pierce through the soul-deep shadows. The noise around them swirled into a cacophony, chaos meeting clarity as she locked eyes with Charlie. We can do this. We will do this. A new energy sparked from their joined resolve. The shadows howled, flailing in despair as the light encased them, pushing them back. The storm of darkness roared, but Sarah stood firm, channeling every positive moment, every laugh, every dance, every tear shed in joy or sorrow. With a final surge, she flung that radiant power toward the portal. Close it, she screamed as light clashed against the swirling darkness. The ground shuddered like a heartbeat, the air crackling with raw energy. The shadows screamed, reviling their fate, and in a rush of brilliance, Sarah felt the connection with Charlie blossom. It shielded her, fortified her, and brightened the darkening world around them. The portal spiraled violently, shadows recoiling as light filled the space. No. The lurker's voice echoed as the energy from their memories burst forth like the sun breaking through clouds after a storm. With a final, resounding crack, the portal imploded, swallowed by light that surged through the clearing, scattering shadows to the far corners of the woods. The last echo of the lurker's furious cry dissipated into nothingness, leaving a breathless stillness in the air. Sarah and Charlie stood together, breathing heavily, soaking up the warm sunshine that now flooded the clearing. The grip of fear loosened, as if the woods had exhaled a long-held breath. I think we did it, Sarah whispered, her voice shaky with disbelief. Charlie's radiant form pulsed gently beside her, full of warmth and familiarity. Together, he replied, gratitude filling his tone. Together, we showed that love and light can defeat fear. In that moment, a gentle wind stirred around them, carrying with it a sense of peace, a promise of brighter days. Shadows faded into history, banished back to the depths they had crawled from. But beneath the calm, Sarah felt the flicker of trepidation just beneath the surface. What happens now? She questioned quietly, her heart still racing from the battle. Charlie paused, a thoughtful expression crossing his ethereal face. We move forward. We remember. Shadows might always linger, but they will not define us. Just then, the memory of their town flashed through Sarah's mind, how it had leaned into darkness, but now it could embrace the light. We can rebuild, she announced, hope glimmering in her voice. We have to share our story, to make others believe in the light. Yes, Charlie said, beaming. In unity, there is strength. As they stood together, Sarah felt the importance of their journey, the relationships they had forged, the lessons they learned scrawled across their hearts. The woods, once fraught with danger, now whispered of secrets to illuminate, tales of triumph to tell. Hand in hand, they stepped out of the clearing, breathing in the fresh air scented with pine and blooming flowers. The tale of Granny Thornhill and the dark urban legend had changed this time. It was one of courage, love, and resilience. It was a legend worth passing down. Before they exited the woods, Sarah paused and turned back one last time, wrapped in bittersweet memories and newfound hope. Thank you, she whispered toward the heart of the woods, knowing they had not just survived, but truly lived. Together they stepped into the light, a new chapter awaiting to be written. This is your moment to join Sarah and Charlie on the next great adventure. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss out on exclusive stories coming soon. Smash that like button now to help spread the light. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about Sarah and Charlie's next journey. What do you think lies ahead? And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support means the world, and together we can build this amazing community.